Welcome in to DC On Screen, episode 169. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This is my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hey.
Today we're going to get super spoilery on Gotham 2x19, Azrael. To recap, Jim Gordon lets it be known that he's on to Hugo Strange even as Hugo experiments with the newly resurrected Theo Galavan, whose mind is an absolute wasteland of themes and verses from the Book of St. Dumas. Hugo, burdened with the new threat of Jim Gordon, convinces Galavan that he is the angel of death, Azrael, and presents him with a mock-up of the Suit of Sorrows armor and the Sword of Sin. He sends Azrael after Gordon. In his assassination attempts on Gordon, Azrael manages to kill several GCPD officers, severely wound Captain Barnes, and inadvertently inspires a young Bruce Wayne. After stabbing Barnes, Gordon shoots Azrael off of the GCPD roof, where he falls maskless onto a police van in front of a half-dozen reporters. The city now knows Galavan is alive, and that he's Azrael. So does the Penguin, Barbara, Butch, Tabitha, pretty much everyone else. Oh, and Nygma has figured out a way to Indian Hill, because he's Nygma, and that's how he rolls. This was a freaking good episode, man.
Yeah, just blanket statement. Was there anything you didn't like? Because I think, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, I think we might finally have an episode where we're not going to shit on anything. I mean,
right?
I loved this thing.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic episode. I'm not sure how I feel completely about Strange using... Okay, well, so Strange basically just screwed with Theo until it convinced him he was Azrael,
right? And
then decides to do it to the other supervillains, or future supervillains that he has down in Indian Hill, specifically referencing the Mad Hatter over and over again.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that I love it, but at the same time, I do kind of love it. I do really enjoy the idea as not as a creature feature of the week or whatever. Like Hellmouth type situation, like a gimmick to keep villains coming.
Right. They've only got 3 weeks. It can't be too much of a creature feature.
Right. But I do kind of enjoy the idea that a whole bunch of the villains tragic, because you look back on Batman history and you're like, God, there's a lot of tragic ass.
It's a lot of bad days.
Like a lot of bad days, and yeah, it's kind of fun to think, maybe it was just Hugo Strange screwing with them the entire time. Maybe it wasn't their memories, or maybe that's why, and maybe that's where they're going. Maybe Jerome is the Joker, and why he remembers it so many different ways, because Hugo kept trying different things on him.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
That'd be just wonderful. God, I'd love that. Like, he was the one who wouldn't work on him. He had to keep trying, and then
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. And look, the fact that Wong's doing a pretty great job with Hugo Strange right now. Hugo's becoming an interesting character in general. They've earned the mechanism is the major point to me. They've spent a lot of time on it. Once they got Indian Hill on its feet, it started to really thrive, I think. So even if they're just setting up something, I wouldn't mind just at the end of the season realizing that the gates are open and that he's been reading books to several people, and hey, see you next season.
Mm-hmm.
Be fine with me. But it's not it's not the origin stories you're familiar with, but this is an Elseworld tale anyway, so do something different. That's the whole point.
Absolutely. I love the cinematography of this episode. As I was watching the episode, I seriously wrote down, I love the cinematography of this episode. And just a few seconds later, apparently, my friend of my buddy Jacob Raspberry of the Screen Explosion podcast tweeted us and said, tonight's Gotham brought to you by the J.J. Abrams School of Cinematography. And I think I wrote back, absolutely, and I love it. Yeah, there were some lens flares.
There were just a couple of shots off the sword, that's all. They were just making Azrael seem even scarier, which is hardly unnecessary because apparently he's the freaking Batman.
Right. And I know everyone thought he was dead, and this is why they didn't piece it together, but during that GCPD scene, when he's in the station, I'm kind of sitting there going, how is no one thinking this sounds like Mayor Galavan? Because he has such a distinctive voice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Frayne, you can tell when it's Frayne. You know what it is, though. You're hardly willing to believe a dead man is talking to you, and much less attacking you. The last thing you think is, I'm in a zombie film. With one really sentient zombie.
Right.
dude, the way that the way that cat moved in this episode, it just it looked wonderful. And he had, like, while he's scaling the walls, it looks like he's crawling up the side of the footage that it felt like crawling up the side of a panel. It just felt so damn familiar. And dude, the look on Tiny Bruce's face when he sees that revelation of, oh, this is the high watermark. This is what I have to learn to do. Like, I don't know if he's going to go maybe train with the Order of Saint Dumas instead of League of Assassins in this version.
Well, him going to train with the League of Assassins was an Elseworld tell anyway.
It's true. He just kind of goes overseas in a lot of the incarnations.
I mean, neat take, Nolan. Neat take. Or should I say Goyer, I guess.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, he could train with the Order. No, I mean, I know he could memorize a book if he wanted to.
Yeah, I doubt that's not necessary.
You think Theo was just being a hell of a student?
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know. I don't care how it really happens. To be honest, I just the look on his face that, I mean, the comics and even Batman Begins made a great deal out of the bat that gets into the manor. Like, oh, that's the inspiration. That's the thing that my enemy should fear. You know what?
Yeah, I mean, it's year one's turning point. So,
and I think Gotham kind of nails it a little better
with
yeah,
like he's seen this done before. He knows it can be done.
I mean, maybe like, okay, seeing Azrael, like, okay, cool, that's what I have to become, kind of. Yeah, that's the idea. But the bat thing twist is still
on, like,
valid.
Azrael's normally trying to take over Batman's role. It was a nice twist going the other way.
Right, that was interesting too. But anyway, yeah. There's still room for him to see that bat in his house. Don't worry. Calm down, everyone.
Yeah. They haven't said... Actually, his favorite animal right now apparently is an owl. So, we've got... Oh, that might be fun. They said they wanted to bring in the Court of Owls at some point, so maybe they bring in the Court of Owls, and Bruce actually joins, thinking it's a good thing. They train him as a Talon, and he pikes off and does his own thing.
Shut your mouth, Jason.
You can't see a 17-year-old Bruce being a Talon, because that's hell yeah.
That'd be pretty badass, man.
Yep.
Or no, maybe they're like courting him, and he winds up meeting his older brother.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
He's like, I'd never become the blah, blah, blah. Why? Because I've seen what they've done to you. Oh, burn. Anyway. Hugo Strange is a lot of fun, but that Peabody sure is a stick in the mud, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was really annoying to have her suggesting genuine medicine the whole episode. Because I gotta admit, throwing some Thorazine at this might sound like a pretty good idea. You just throw a bunch of Thorazine vitamins in that cage. Let them rally. God, Nygma was so much fun talking to those patients.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that.
He was a delightful little bastard. He's like the way he's his little everyone has a story. He's figured them out. They're little puzzles. It's wonderful. It's very Riddler, and it's very the good version of Riddler that is just way too smart for his own good. It's one of the fun things when you have a Riddler that's that clever and Batman can beat him. It just elevates how clever Batman really is. Use him as a stepping stone. Wonderful.
Yeah, and I loved Jim and Nygma's conversation in the asylum.
Puzzles are my forte.
Right.
Nobody beats me. I did.
See you never.
Right.
I liked Gordon being able to read Strange's facial tics as well. That was
wonderful.
Good.
Wonderful conversation. I like Strange. It starts out as they're shadow boxing, and he just pulls a cut the shit gem and drops his voice and does the "Why are you here?" Like Wong, man, that's a genuinely creepy growl he has in his voice when he does that. I loved it. And then their little discussion about I can read tells too. Wonderful dialogue. Wonderful scene.
Yeah. But yeah, I man, so much was on point about this episode. Like Nygma's monologue about knowing everything about the villains that he's with, the inmates he's with, how obsessed he gets, and the way he repeats the diminishing things that Strange said to him.
Yeah,
just
I think you've actually been helpful or something like that. He just keeps repeating it over and over again.
Yeah. Poor Amygdala.
Oh, I felt bad for him.
I feel so bad for that guy.
Taken out back, man.
Yeah.
Although it was actually kind of funny. This case will help you. Just smacks him.
He just hit someone.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but okay.
Try opening the chest, my son. Oh. Not too bright, are you, Azrael?
I'm learning. My brain was off for months. Shut up.
I don't know. I love the Azrael body armor. I loved all the reactions that everyone has to Galavan being alive. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was. And it resulted in a very unlikely not hating Barbara scene for us.
Yeah. Like, Barbara switching channels to, like, Butch and Tabitha being perplexed and annoyed by her.
Yeah.
Was a lot of fun. And I love that Tabitha, when she gets the remote, starts switching the channels the same way, even though Barbara was apparently crazy for doing so.
Right.
But Barbara didn't even, like, flinch. She just kept changing the channels even though she didn't have the remote. I liked all of that. I liked the meat cleaver looking for limes.
Yeah. Yeah. Barbara's the most fun when she's extremely crazy or extremely sane. But anywhere in between gets a little hazy for me.
Mm-hmm. I think more than anything, I just liked Butch's reaction to Barbara.
That girl is as mad as a bag of squirrels. He's keeping it real, that Butch.
Mm-hmm. I love the little song. I don't remember what it was. They were playing a little song when Nygma. I meant to look it up. When Nygma was figuring out the secret passage to Indian Hill.
Yeah. Every now and then, Gotham will pull some really good music out because they like to go a little vintage. They like to go 50s, like 50s, 60s almost, early recordings when they can, keeping that lack of timeliness about the show. I dig that. I dig that a lot. And they end up pulling out neat songs, especially with Nygma. Every now and then they do this, where they play some really chipper song while he's doing some really weird shit, like hiding a hand in a vending machine, and they've got something that should be like listened to with zoot suits on happening in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the timeliness of the episode, or the timetable of when it's supposed to take place. Anyway, I really enjoyed like the old timey like leather fly swatter.
Oh yeah. And
I love that dude just licking it.
Yeah.
Oh, you sick son of a bitch.
Right. Speaking of sick sons of bitches, though, welcome back, Penguin.
Yeah, talking to Grace.
Yeah, I'm sure he's like stopping off every now and then to pet the dead dog in the kitchen. Say hi. So you ask him, "You want to go for a walk?" No? Okay. And goes back to another cup of wine. Mm-hmm. Apparently that's just what he's been doing, is binge drinking for a few days and waiting for inspiration, which I guess is going to come in the form of Galavan being alive again.
Certainly looks like it.
I don't know what he's going to be inspired to do. Hopefully get out of the house and kill a bunch of people. Maybe go find Zaz, see what he's up to, see if he needs some employment these days.
I forgot Zaz was on this show.
I haven't. He's a lot of fun.
So yeah, Captain Barnes, he's still alive, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, he was just being wheeled into an ambulance at the end of the show.
I mean, I'd forgotten there was an ambulance for a second until you pointed it out a while back. But the most surprising thing that's happened to me so far with this episode, at least, was I'll be damned if when it looked like Barnes wouldn't make it. I'll be damned if there was a moment where I was going, no, don't. I'm happy with chickless. Keep the chickless.
Which is a big deal because you didn't like the idea of doing chickless.
No, they have shown me the ways of chickless, and I am happy.
Mm-hmm. The light of chickless.
The light of chickless has shone upon me.
It is a gleaming round face like the moon.
Yeah. I think if you're in a hallway with just a corner, and you got one side of it that's dark and one side of it that has a light on it, if you stand him in the middle, I think he can light the other side of it. Just have him turn his cheek just a little at the 45.
I love that he thought that Gordon was crazy, and then like Azrael just shows up.
Justifiably so. He's trying to tell him there's people are reviving people from the dead, so he's gonna need some convincing.
Yeah, and like this Azrael just shows up like, oh my goodness, okay, like good call, make Barnes see the light.
Right.
I love that he's like he Gordon actually believes that he might run GCPD someday.
Oh, that was so nice. That was
cracked
a
me
wonderful nod.
It was.
That was one of those, thanks, writers. You got our back, don't you? Oh, and some Bruce and Jim stuff. I mean, Bruce in general, always great. He's the kind of kid who could look he stops Barnes in his tracks with just a couple of looks, couple of lines. Are you through listening to the truth? That kind of thing. And yeah, like Barnes knows he's a kid, but he's still a player in town, so he knows he has to kind of placate him. And he does finally say, like, kid, go home, but Bruce manages to hang in there long enough to actually get something done. It's wonderful. But there's a wonderful conversation with Bruce and Jim where Bruce is considering, like, hey, what's wrong with, like, really, like, the right way isn't working. Why don't we try another way? Like, he wants to drop some bodies. That's what Bruce wants to do at this point.
Yeah. And
Gordon. Oh.
Yeah, I enjoy that Bruce wants to drop some bodies. I do.
Yeah, and Gordon, I wrote down the line though. Gordon tells him, "It will make you more like the evil you're trying to fight. You need to be better."
Yeah,
and, man,
it's pertinent.
Yeah, this show does a really good job. We have our issues here and there, but what they've never done a bad job with ever is the show. Essentially, it's a show about Gordon and how he's dealing with a city that doesn't have a Batman yet. But you're also supposed to see the breadcrumbs. You're supposed to be able to follow the trail, and they've done a great job with the breadcrumbs.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Speaking of problems that we've had with the show, like one of the problems I've had with the show is that they can't decide what tone they want to hit on the show. Sometimes they get a little bit cheesy. And Justin Ashby actually wrote to us on Twitter, said the cheesy nature of Gotham doesn't bother me as much since I started thinking of it as an updated version of Batman 66.
That's a neat take on it. In a way, it'd be like a Batman 66 that took itself seriously at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still that issue of, like, sometimes they think we're going to be the Godfather, and then, like, other times we're like, now we're going to be like Batman and Robin, Schumacher style.
Right. And some days they're kind of a Western.
Right.
You
So
can
I
hear
think
dum-dum.
I think that might be, I don't know, stylistic differences and...
I just think it's Jim that's doing that. Because I swear,
it's Jim?
Jim's swagger, like, requires... I think that he has, like, a pet tumbleweed that just follows him around at all times. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's just how he rolls in real life.
Oh, my poor 32-year-old lungs were not willing to be ready for that. Yeah, maybe so, man. Maybe.
You're just laughing, right? Like, thinking about him just walking around the set with that little guy chumming up to his side.
Tumbleweed. Yeah, absolutely.
He just feeds him the rest of his burger every now and then. What does it eat? Whatever I say.
Oh man, he leaves his sandwich on the table. The tumbleweed kind of idles up. Jim pulls out a revolver. Bad idea.
Right back to the hill. Right back to the hill.
That noise was the sound of a tumbleweed. My version of a tumbleweed. I don't know.
It sounds like a tumbleweed eating something. I don't know.
Right. Sounds like a crackhead eating a tumbleweed. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, look, this is something that Jim has gotten better at. Like, he pauses. He still pauses. Don't get me wrong. But the advice for Barnes, just keep swinging, dude. Just keep swinging. It's we've entered some strange territory. Like I mean, he wouldn't have needed to be shanked. Right. It did result, though, in one of the most just astounding pummelings of shotgun shells I think I've ever seen. Yeah. That was a lot of shotgun.
It was a lot of shotgun.
For armor that he apparently had made in a day, that shit holds up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and Frayne, by the way.
Hugo Strange is a man of resources.
Oh, yeah. No, he absolutely is. But Frayne, I mean, we've had our problems with his performances even on this show sometimes, and I think one of the deal is, like, when he gets handed, like, really high-handed material, he can go over the top. He can do the over the top thing. I mean, I'm sure as a stage actor, it comes off wonderfully, but on screen sometimes it comes off heavy-handed. So then you have when you give him though more subtle stuff, it's glorious. When he's talking to Strange and he says like, "What is this? What happened to me?" And then, "Why don't I know my name?" There's this like quiver, the whimper in his voice with the "Why don't I know my name?" It was it's wonderfully done. You can hear his psyche breaking.
And it's there as well when the sword breaks and he says that's impossible.
Yeah. You can see the fracturing already happening, and I'm really gonna I could deal with if that's what they did for the rest of the season, I would be happy. Screw Fish Mooney.
Yeah.
Put her on a boat, man. I don't care.
We've only got 3 episodes left, so I'm sure Fish is coming.
No, and they've built up the entire season with Theo being kind of the big bad, so why not let him finish it off as Azrael?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I love that shot they did where like Gordon comes out of the GCPD or whatever and then like shoots over his shoulder and all the way up into the background where the Gotham Bridge is with Azrael standing on top. Mm-hmm. That was badass, man. That was a good shot. Oh, yeah. That was good.
He just... all these years later, when Gotham has a Batman, they'll in this little Elseworld tale, we'll always know, no, you had another one first.
Kind of, except he was an assassin.
I'd love to see like this guy in his prime, which I'm going to call this his prime because he's finally well accoutered. But this guy versus the guy that
well accoutered
is going to
no,
he's got his armor and everything. Needs a better sword, but the armor's fine.
No, Jason.
We'll leave it.
No, well accoutered. I want you to know why that's wrong.
I just like to see a standoff between them.
Yeah.
One with tiny bats, one he's big bats.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't see the promo, did you? For
I did not.
220?
No, I rarely get to see the promos before we actually start.
It looks like Tabitha is teaming up with Gordon to take down Galavan. Looks like they'll be actually like... Looks like they're actually going to get the real Sword of Sin out of like an old like sarcophagus or some shit. Like,
that'll be nice.
Bruce is going to be going out by himself, with or without Alfred. Like Alfred's kind of being like, "I don't want you to do the thing," and he's like, "I'm doing the thing."
They'll be doing that dance for years to come.
Years and years. We have a nice little clip of Penguin saying, "I will not buy into this uber villain nonsense."
Right.
We have Alfred sword fighting, and it looks like we're gonna get Firefly back.
Yeah, I liked her. I think we didn't like the episode around her as much as I liked her. I'll say.
Yeah, she was fine. I hated her brothers.
Yeah, I mean, they were terrible, and
they were awful people, but they were also boring.
Came to a fitting end for their kind.
It's a good pull, man.
Thank you. They were boring as all hell. So yeah, it's you got to wonder as a writer sometimes if you're just thinking, man, this is not working out. I wish I could just burn it down. Oh wait, I can. Yeah. I can literally burn these characters to the ground.
Yeah. I feel like the reason they were boring is not because they weren't trying to write characters. I feel like they were like writing like over the top archetypes.
Oh yeah, they were cartoons.
They had in place exactly what was going to happen to those characters. They were just like trying to find the best route to burning them down while making Firefly her character interesing and relatable and likable. That's what they were trying to do. Yeah, and that's why it came off as boring.
I know. Well, it's part of the problem with just you have to have almost sacrificial villains. I'll call them. Like you have to have people that are just there to serve a purpose, and you're supposed to hate them. But man, annoying people are annoying people, even when they're supposed to be annoying people.
Yeah. I think that's all I've got.
Yeah, good episode. We loved it.
Yeah, good stuff.
Keep it coming. We got 3 more weeks.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to DC On Screen. You can find every episode on DCOnScreen.com. Also on DCOnScreen.com, you can find links to the Giant Size Team Up Network, of which we are proud members. You can find links to find a link to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, hosted by our friends Matt Carroll and Jeff Randall. And you can also find a link to Screen Explosion, hosted by our friend Jacob Raspberry and our friend Steve West. So all of those things are available to you through our website, DCOnScreen.com. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher, or wherever pods be caught, y'all. Our next episode, we're going to be reviewing the phenomenal Flash 220 Rupture. Until then, keep some DC on your screen.
When you download the Baker's app, you have easy access to savings every day. Get the most out of weekly sales and receive personalized coupons to save on your favorite items, all while earning 1 fuel point for every dollar spent. Baker's makes it easy to save while you shop, whether it's in-store or online, so you get the most value out of every trip, every time. Download the Baker's app now to save big on your next purchase. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Must have a digital account to redeem offers. Restrictions may apply. See site for details.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.